Hey, Jonathan here at TopSaw. This is what we have today. Big dead oak over the house. A lot of little sprinkler pipes down there. And probably the worst of all, really old pool filtration system. That if you looked at it sideways, it'd probably crack. It's just been in the sun for so long. So that's kind of underneath this. I was actually hoping to fall it out that way, but I think there's too much limb weight back towards the house. I'm a little afraid that it would fall and roll and kind of smash that fence. Setting up in that crotch right there with the big shot. My climbing rope, spur it up. I'll have me in 200 teeth. Try and get all this weight off. I pull up the 361 for some of that wood. So let's see how that goes. I'll time lapse. So I don't really want to climb the tree because it's so dead. It's just really dangerous. Really, you should never do this unless you're properly trained. This might even be a job for a lift. I was hoping to fall it so I wouldn't have to go up in the tree. When I'm up in that tree, we're going to have to rope and rig those down. And it's going to put, I'm going to tie it off, tie it back to a crotch in the tree, and then shock load those limbs. When you shock load those limbs, that puts a tremendous amount of force on the tree. So it's kind of dangerous. And then the second issue is, a couple weeks ago I was climbing, and that tendon that goes to the top of your shoulder there that holds the bicep on there, that thing broke, and you can see my whole bicep balled up right at the bottom here. So just like in the tree, that shock force breaks the rope, that shock force breaks the tendon. But okay, even though with my bad left shoulder, left arm, I decided to climb the tree anyway. Just want to be really conscientious. My tie-in point's really low, and that my weight reduction is equal to my body weight. So I want to cut as much weight off of that tree as quickly as I can, so that the addition of my body weight won't make anything fail in that tree. I do try and keep my left arm as tight in as I can, but there's only so much you could do. So just undercutting first and then cutting these dead limbs off. You could tell by the fineness of the sawdust how dead the limbs actually are. I'm using a double rope technique here, which I actually prefer when you're spurring up or the tree's kind of small and you're not climbing that high. So I have a double rope technique with the Petzl Zig Zag. And I'm just kind of blocking it out. We're at 5-to-1 time lapse here. And just taking some of the wood out with the 200T. And a lot of these cuts here, I also have my steel core flip line in, so you always want 2 points of tie-in before you run the saw. You can see how lightweight that oak limb is, how dead it is. I can just pull it out and throw it down. So I feel a lot better now that I have a lot of that weight taken off. These are 6 or 8 inch diameter blocks of wood, perfect for the 200T here. It's not that easy getting up out over this other limb because my tie-in point is so low. The tree is really dead. I bet maybe 5 years dead. So it dries about 1 inch per year on radius, and it's pretty dry most of the way in on most of these cuts. So a lot of these I'm trying to do undercuts with a bit of an angle and then get these to fall away from the home. So you could just see the corner of the house in the video there, just lower down on the left. Like I was saying before, standing by my truck there, you really don't want a shock force on any of these ropes, because that shock force, not only would it possibly break the rope, but it might break the dead limb that I'm roping through, and there's really no way around that. So I'm roping this one down here. I'm trying to take it in a couple small little pieces, and there's the first one kind of swinging out and over. And it actually held pretty well there. I was careful that I was not roped in to the fork of the tree that I'm lowering through. So I'm just tying off the second part of that fork there. And then I'm taking a little bit bigger piece now that I've tested the crotch that I'm roping through. It's a pretty good undercut. The fine dust looks cool in the rising sun. And then you can see it's a nice location for the roping spot because as it comes down, it swings out over that live oak and away from the roof of the house there. On these really hot days of summer, I try and get started really early, and that's why the sun's right in the camera there. Sorry about that, but the sun's just coming up. Trying to get started. I think the groundman, as soon as he's done roping down this limb, will move the camera to a different angle. And then this is a really kind of the biggest limb that's left, and I'm going to rope it to itself, which is a little bit of a problem. So what I'll do is I'll go from 5 times the speed in time lapse to slow-mo here, and here it is. It's a pretty big block coming right towards the house and the camera. I want to make sure I'm out of the way and not tied to the limb that I'm roping off of. I'm tied on that back limb that I'm going to fell in the end. So I'm just getting it set up here and making sure everything's straight. And then here I do come across the back, and then here it goes. I'm going into slow motion here, and you can see it just breaking off, coming towards the camera. And the guys on the ground did a really good job on letting that thing run. The goal isn't to stop it from hitting the ground. The goal is to change the direction so that it swings basically underneath me off of the house. So it's actually piecing out pretty nicely here. I'm going to just knock out a few more blocks, and then I'll be able to drop the tree out into that field with not really leaning, but at least all that back limb weight and all of that lean back towards the house, all of cut off by climbing the tree. Certainly a safer way to have done this tree. The other issue too with really dead dry oaks, it's really hard to face cut them and come through the back and control them. They're so dead and dry, they're really brittle, and they're a lot harder to fall. So this is just about my last cut, and then from here we'll go back to the ground and fell it from the ground. Alright, another day of tree work. It's good to be alive. Kind of have this thing down now. We're actually weighted correctly. I just pulled a pull rope up where my climb line was, and that thing will just fall. Now I'll actually hopefully weave it between those oaks. Kind of hoping. One thing I don't like is the fence growing into it. It's a little bit of a high cut right here, and there's probably wire and metal all through it. Yeah, so that's all metal. And then, so I got a back cut in between the fence here and those steel rings. But I think I can get it on this side. Looking straight up. I don't know if you can see the lean, but it'll go. No trouble now. Mechanical advantage on the rope, just guarantee it. It's kind of cool though, a little rock climbing, going around a rock here instead of a tree trunk. Okay, on the ground, I faced it. You can see it's pretty high up. I'm trying to cut it in between the top of the fence and below all that steel. And then here I am coming through the back. I got a really big open face that's pretty deep to encourage that weight to be over the center line. Coming over the back there, and now I'm starting to pound in some wedges, and then the guys are on the ground with that mechanical advantage pulling it. I'm just going to beat those wedges in. I was a little worried about that face cut having to be so high above that fence because of my bad shoulder, but it's alright. Alright, this is Jonathan at TopSaw. Said it before, but it's good to be alive. Alright, if you like the video, hit like and subscribe. Love to hear your comments if you had a better idea here. I think I missed all the metal on that stump, but we finally did get to some wet wood there. So really like to hear what you think of this whole job. Was it safe enough? better way to do it. Thank you for watching.